My panel now to discuss Adam Goodman, Mark Alderman, and Brian Baker. Brian, I'll start with you because you're helping to fund part of this mad dash for Tuesday. How you feeling about the money? Well spent so far?
I think so, absolutely. I mean, listen, for Trump to win the presidency, he has to hold every state that Mitt Romney won in 2012, and I think he'll do that. And then all he has to do is win Florida, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. Polls show him leading in Ohio, so your two correspondents really kind of hit the nail on the head. He's got to win Florida and the I-4 corridor near Tampa, that's key. And then he's got to pick up Pennsylvania. And just to play off the young Hillary Clinton fan, if Mr. Trump is seen as meanish, I think independent voters really see Hillary Clinton as guilty-ish. So that, for those reasons, we really think Trump can pull this out.
Mark, let me ask you, from a strategic point of view, Donald Trump crisscrossing the country, but we know it comes down now to perhaps just 3 states. Brian just singled out, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida, and I would think you would throw North Carolina in there. How is the strategy going into the last 3 days in your mind?
Well, I want to first begin by saying that I agree with the 9-year-old in Philadelphia.
Okay, we got that.
I want to be on record with that. And, Charles, here's Donald Trump's problem. Donald Trump is not ahead anywhere he needs to win. He is either tied or behind in the states that he needs to win, and there's not a lot of time left.
But by the same token, Mark, now that you've said that, though, Hillary Clinton has hit a plus 45, 47 brick wall for a long period of time, and you've got to be nervous about the momentum that Donald Trump has coming into the tape.
Ground game goes to Clinton. It's worth a point. If it's tied, she wins. And she, Charles, only has to win one of those states that were mentioned. He has to run the table, and it's too little too late.
Adam, let me ask you about the hidden voter. We heard Adam Shapiro talk about Dixiecrats. Some Democrats are saying that most of those Dixiecrats have now re-registered as Republicans. But we also heard Ed Rendell admit in the state of Pennsylvania there is a secret Donald Trump army. They don't know how big it is, but perhaps that's why that's going to be the last place of Clinton's campaign.
Well, you know, Charles, 4 months ago I wrote that there is a hidden vote and that if we went into the final weekend with Donald Trump within the margin of error of Hillary Clinton, that he would be the next president of the United States. And I based that article on a personal experience I had in Philadelphia, in Ed Rendell's home state, with the mayor of Philadelphia at that point, Frank Rizzo, who always underpolled and always outperformed polls on Election Day because it was never popular in certain places within the city to admit you were a Frank Rizzo supporter. I think the same things are in play here. And if you were looking as a pollster or as any strategist at the trend lines in all the polls, they've all gotten very tight. They've all gotten within margin of error in almost every key battleground state. And the good news for Republicans, the great news for Republicans actually, is that the vote on Election Day, which used to be the preserve more of Democrats and Republicans, has flipped, especially with early voting in places like my home state here of Florida. That is very good news for Donald Trump. And as an agent of change, it's very, very easy for him to make the case against a system that most Americans have grown very, very distressed about.
Brian, I want to ask you about the ground game. The money's being raised right now, I think, to Donald Trump. A lot of it's going to go toward airtime and crisscrossing the country. Do you think the Democrats are underestimating the enthusiasm and how that may play out with respect to volunteers surging in and maybe making up for that distance, that historic distance?
I've never been a big believer in assessing ground game based off of rally size, but I am struck by the number of people, the hours that they wait in line to get into the Trump-Pence rallies. Hundreds and thousands of people across the country and in these swing states. So I think there is a great deal of enthusiasm for change. And let's face it, Secretary Clinton is not a fresh face. The Clintons have been around for 30 years. They're a part of the system. Trump and Pence are not. They are agents for change. So I think the tie there goes to the outsider, and this is an outsider election. And I'll just say one last thing in terms of the early voting. Every single state where we have early voting, the Republicans are exceeding by large numbers the numbers that Mitt Romney won in 2012 in the early vote. So I feel good about that.
Are you concerned about Nevada, though, with the early voting there? Because there are some expert pollsters who are saying with almost 70% of the vote in, it's going to be just the longest of long shots right now.
Yeah, I saw the John Ralston report last night saying the whole election was lost. But, I mean, let's face it. it's not just Florida, Pennsylvania, Ohio. There are other routes to the presidency. Nevada's one of them. But Trump's message has really resonated in Nevada. Dr. Joe Heck, very, very popular there. Harry Reid is at the bottom of his popularity in Nevada, and so that's a real state that I think Trump and Pence could win.
Yeah.
And then they have to pick up, if they win Nevada, they have to pick up Iowa, New Hampshire, and the 2nd District in Maine. Yeah. And there was a poll came out over the weekend. Iowa, he's leading. A poll came out over the weekend that has New Hampshire tied again.
Yeah, New Hampshire's certainly a jump ball.
Hillary Clinton's momentum is going in the exact wrong direction at the exact wrong time, which is why her campaign went from saying they were going to be all positive, and now they've gone negative again. So that's how you know.
Listen, Mark, there's no doubt that Hillary Clinton became a rudderless ship. She was knocked off course this week. Maybe she's gotten it back together. But when I hear Democrats saying that it comes down to ground game, that's kind of worrisome, because what you're essentially saying is that she doesn't have the momentum on her own, even with all the celebrities, even with all this help from the president, that she doesn't have that sort of organic momentum to carry it out without some sort of extensive ground game. Doesn't that worry you?
Well, Charles, couple of things. The wind clearly shifted with Director Comey's inappropriate intervention in the election. She has the wind back in her sails now a week later. She is ahead in these places where we are talking about a ground game. She is ahead in Pennsylvania, where I'm from. Frank Rizzo hasn't been mayor of Philadelphia for 40 years. There's no hidden vote for Donald Trump in Philadelphia.
Well, let's leave it there. Although Ed Rendell said there is, we just don't know how large it is. All right, guys, you guys are fantastic. Keep up the good fight. We'll see you in a couple days.